Hello, it's Lindsay from Car Seat Cups. I'm going to demonstrate how to install the Chicco KeyFit 30 with its base using your vehicle's lower anchor system, otherwise known as the UAS. I am demonstrating with a Honda Odyssey vehicle seat that's in my basement because it's very cold outside. So the Chicco base looks like this. It has a couple of features for you. At the end of the base, there's this little storage compartment, and that's where you will find, and you should continue to keep, your manual. I also recommend that if you take the harness covers off of your car seat at any point, these harness covers here, also tuck them into this storage compartment, and then you won't lose them. So when you're installing the base for an infant seat, the thing you need to look most at is angle, and how do we adjust the angle, and how do we tell the angle once the base is installed in the car. The correct angle for an infant seat is as reclined as allowed by the manufacturer when your vehicle is parked on a flat surface. So do not try to install your seat base on any kind of incline, always on a flat surface. And the Chicco base has a bubble indicator, which is similar to that you would see on a level that you might find in your toolkit. So the bubble indicator is here. It's a bit worn on my particular one, but it has an arrow here, and the bubble needs to be in between the two arrows to be at a correct recline. And ideally, you want your seat as reclined as possible to protect your baby's airway. So you want the little bubble, which it's impossible for me to angle it right for you to see it, but you want the bubble to be closest to this arrow. When you're installing in your vehicle, you can think of it as the bubble being closest to the front of the vehicle, and that will mean that your seat is at its most reclined. Once baby's older, if you want the seat angled up a little bit more upright, you have that wiggle room between this arrow and that arrow. As long as the bubble is between those two lines, that is an acceptable recline when your vehicle is parked on flat ground. So that's the bubble indicator, storage area. You have a recline foot. And because every vehicle seat has a different angle of its own, the recline foot will be adjusted different depending on each vehicle. To release the recline foot, you have these two buttons right here, and if I push them down, the foot's going to pop out. Boop. So that's the foot fully extended, and if you push the two buttons again simultaneously, and then you could just use your knee to kind of click it up, so that's another level, a little bit less extended. Oops, it's all the way out. A little bit more. Oh, that's all the way, and that's all the way up. So you've kind of got all the way, one click, two clicks, closed. So you're going to place the base on your vehicle seat, and that'll help you determine where you want the angle, or where you want the foot, depending on where your bubble is. Because we're going to install using the lower anchors, we need to find them. Remember that every car seat on the market is designed to be installed either with the lower anchors or with your vehicle seatbelt. This particular seat is a very easy lower anchor install, so I recommend that when it's possible. You always want to consult your vehicle owner's manual, that thing in your glove box that you never take out, because it's going to tell you a little bit about how to install car seats in your particular vehicle. It will also tell you where to find the lower anchors in your vehicle. Typically, you're going to find them on the behind the driver's side and behind the passenger side in your back row. So the lower anchors in your vehicle are going to be indicated by little dots like this that have they're like a little kid in a car seat logo. Now in the Odyssey, you can see that the anchors themselves are actually visible to the naked eye. Like they're right here, I can touch them without doing anything. Some vehicles, you're actually going to find that the anchors are hidden behind a plastic cap that you have to pull out, or behind a Velcro flap that you need to open, and other times they're just right in the crack of the seat, so you might have to play around to find them. So those are the lower anchors. You've got two, 1, 2, and we are going to secure your car seat base to those lower anchors using the lower anchor connectors on your car seat base. So typically when it's out of the box, your lower anchors are going to be stored. So you just want to press the red buttons to release them. There's one. There's two. And to loosen or tighten them, you have this right here. So this little thing, you lift up this here, and if you pull, that will loosen them. And then to tighten, you pull up on this one strap. So I happen to already know that on this vehicle seat, I need my recline foot completely closed to get the correct angle. You may need to play around with it a little bit. So I've got my recline foot completely closed up. And I'm going to go and I'm going to place the car seat on my vehicle seat. So a couple things to be aware of before you even install are that you want to make sure that your lower anchors aren't twisted. So make sure this strap isn't twisted. You're going to want to make sure that you're plugging the lower anchor in this direction. So to me, I always find it looks like a stapler. So the stapler is going to connect onto the lower anchor there and on the other side. You're going to hear a nice click once it's connected. And then you also want to make sure, in terms of the shape of your own vehicle, see how there's a portion of the seat that overhangs here? That's totally fine. But if you notice that a lot of the base is overhanging your vehicle seat, so if you have a very short vehicle seat, you may need to confirm that that's acceptable. Most car seat brands allow for 20% of the length of the base to overhang their vehicle seat. So I would just say, if you think it's overhanging by a lot, make sure you check in your manual or contact the manufacturer to make sure that that is acceptable. So we're gonna click our lower connector, so making sure it's not twisted. So I'm gonna click it onto the lower anchor. So you hear it click. Obviously you're gonna be in a back seat of a car, so it's not as convenient to walk around it. And again here, making sure that it's not twisted, it's gonna click on. Okay, so now it's clicked. Now it's a matter of tightening it. The seat is really easy to tighten. Just take one hand and put pressure on the back of the seat, put pressure on the back of the base, and with the other hand, grab this strap and pull up. So now I'm just pushing, I'm taking this hand and I'm pushing down on the base to compress it into the vehicle seat. And then I'm pulling all the slack out of the UAS strap just by pulling this up. And now what I want to check is two things. One, is my angle correct? Because the angle may have changed. Once you've tightened it all up, your angle might have changed. So if I come over here and I look at my recline bubble, you can see it is between the two lines. And then we want to check for movement. So you do not jiggle your car seat back here. So you're taking your non-dominant hand and you want to check for movement here where the UAS strap comes out. So side to side, a light handshake, no, a firm handshake. We want to say a firm handshake side to side, and you can pull a little bit front to back, and you want to see less than an inch of movement front to back and side to side, and that would be a secure installation. So once we've checked our angle, we checked for movement, we also want to put the actual bucket seat on and make sure the angle is still correct. So we have our bucket seat, we're going to click it on, click, and every time you put your bucket seat on, it's always good practice to just give it a little tug up just to make sure it's securely installed. You can see that I can see that my angle is still correct. My bubble is still between the two lines. And for driving, we always want the Chicco handle up in carry position. And that's correct for the Chicco, but it may be different for other vehicles. In terms of how to release your car seat from the base, you're just going to put one hand on the handle, and then pull up on this lever, and then up, and out we go. And that is how you do an installation of the base of the Chicco KeyFit.